God bless and good afternoon once again. It's Brother Darren, Hebrews 9 verse 27 and John 3 verse 16. Okay, so I just come across this article about the hip-hop artist Logic. I believe I've covered Logic before. Not so much to take an in-depth look or view on Logic, but there was a video that he's in where he's rapping and holding a gun, and from somewhere he starts bleeding to the point where he becomes covered with blood. And I've been looking at some of these artists and their affiliations or connections to that which is occultish, which is dark, that which is macabre, that which is perverting the minds of the young and opening them up further to the occult and the type of imagery that we've seen from heavy metal and its symbolisms and ties and connection with the occult and sort of new age practices and so on and so forth. But what I quickly want to focus on is I believe they're looking at Logic coming out with a new album, but down here it says classmates from perhaps the year or the particular sort of time period that he started to blossom from, such as Travis Scott, Joey Bad, I'm going to say the other bit there, Chief, Keef and Ab-Soul. Now Travis Scott has a very blasphemous song and video where he's literally appearing as God in the sky, and yeah, that in itself is just so rank. Joey Bad, whatever his name is, I'm not too certain about him. Chief Keef, as far as I know, was rapping and is really, I think, considered a pioneer of drill music. But Chief Keef, as far as I know, came to prominence from an alleged murder, or being linked to a murder with a fellow Chicago rapper, and I believe his name was Little Jojo. Anyway, Little Jojo was killed, and maybe as a result of the controversy, I believe Chief Keef was signed. But the main artist that I wanted to look at was Ab-Soul. But all of these, you can just see that they've got how dark the music has become and what has been allowed to infiltrate. I don't listen to secular music at all as a born-again Christian, but I'm noticing the trends, and it's one reason for the increasing infiltration within the music and how dark it's becoming, that people should wake up and realize that there's a true holy God who sent his son for our sins and to expose the wicked works of the devil, as he obviously has a hand in the music industry and in the rebellion mind states and the characters that we see. But it's Ab-Soul that I want to focus on, so I'm just going to come out of this briefly. But this is Ab-Soul, and you can see and set these different pictures, but he has taken on board the philosophies and maybe the occult practices of Aleister Crowley, dubbed the wickedest man in the world, the Beast, 666, who was involved in the occult, heavily involved in the occult, and possibly even to have advocated for such dark practices such as necromancy, paedophilia, and so on. But if you look at these hoodies by Ab-Soul, or that have been bought out by Ab-Soul, you can see that they have the same logo as you sometimes see on cars for Christians, but inside there it says Ab-Soul. And on his back he has the "Do What Thou Wilt" mantra, which came from Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley is supposed to have had this this mantra given to him by a spirit, some form of Egyptian spirit, to do what thou wilt. That is the whole of the law as far as his philosophical or occult connections were concerned. And there wasn't anything dark and abominable that pretty much that Aleister Crowley didn't do or advocate for. And of course, he's also on the cover of the Dr. Pepper, sorry, not the Dr. Pepper, the Sergeant Pepper album by the Beatles, which most of you have probably seen. But there we can clearly see Crowley on the album. The Beatles idolised him. The Beatles were against Christ. You've only got to look at some of the quotes that they said in regards to Christianity. Of course, John Legend says, imagine there was no heaven, no hell below us. But there has to be a judgment for mankind, especially if you reject the righteousness and the salvation, the free gift of salvation offered through Christ. And secular music basically is littered with the occult. You know, there's some of the biggest stars like Katy Perry, and you know, many others are, you know, they have connections or they promote the symbolism or what is Masonic. And you know, definitely at the level of black community music such as hip hop and so on and so forth, we see an ever increasing trend for this, and always glorification of drug dealing and you know, lavish lifestyles and so on and so forth. People need to search and seek for the righteousness of Christ and to understand what is actually out there. Anyway, God bless. This is Brother Darren. Hebrews 9 verse 27 and John 3 verse 16.